Good evening, welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bell Boxing. Joined, as always, by regulars Harrison. How are you, pal?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to see you.
And you, mate. And Jams, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you, Andy.
Now, bear with me, guys. I'm in a hotel in the middle of nowhere in Wales, surrounded by sheep. So let's hope your Wi-Fi holds up. Bit of a strange one this week because there's not a massive card in the UK, is there? So we're going to talk through a few subjects that have popped up in the boxing world over the last week or so. The main one, obviously, is the big card in America this weekend. Håkan, how are you?
I'm all good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us, mate. Just coming just at the right time. We're just about to talk about the massive fight happening over in America this weekend. Saul Canelo Alvarez against Jaime Munguia for the undisputed super middleweight titles. Harrison, I'm going to come to you first. There's been the little bit of a spat between Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo earlier on. What did you make of that to start with?
Thoroughly enjoyed my Wednesday night watching that press conference. That's one of the most memorable that we've had in recent times. It gave glimpses of like Mayweather-McGregor-esque just dramas of press conferences. I really love when they kick off and there's a bit of heat there. And the whole thing just imploded. And I don't think many people seen it coming. I put on Twitter earlier, I was really surprised that it had gone that way. But I also understand why De La Hoya's done what he's done, because he's tried to wrestle Canelo, and I think he's just executed that perfectly. So many things that were said. Obviously, De La Hoya was calling him a drugs cheat, and then brought up some certain things about some kitchen utensils that I won't get too far into. But the whole press conference was just fantastic. They've built this fight up sensationally well, and I just can't wait for Saturday night.
The little comment about you spent most of your career under my banner or something. So most of your career under my stable, which is my name, so have some respect or something. I thought, wow, that's proper cutting. You know, that in itself, mate, tells me that there's a lot of bad blood there.
I think so, definitely. And it's nice to see that's kind of spilled over and the public have got a bit of an opinion to form now. And I know we'll get on to the actual fight itself, but just from the pure build-up and the media for it, PBC needed to make sure this was a huge event for them. Cinco de Mayo and Canelo is one of those pay-per-views that stands out every year. They had to get it spot up in the build-up, and I just think that they both played their parts excellently.
Jams, what was your opinion of the presser?
I enjoyed it. Like Harrison said, it was just good fun, mate. Seeing Canelo swearing in English was brilliant to see as well. He's learning English really well. He sounds so Mexican swearing in English is just fantastic. Oscar De La Hoya was trying to intimidate Canelo. That's not going to work. We know Canelo's built tougher than that. I don't think it's going to change the outcome of the fight, but I'm looking forward to it nevertheless.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Carl, understand you've had a bit of a long trip today, mate. Hope you're not feeling too buzzed.
I made my views clear on Twitter regarding maybe renationalising the railway. I think some political parties should put that in the manifesto, and they'll be getting my vote for sure. But anyway, the bit that I enjoyed the most about Canelo was when he corrected the interpreter. I thought that was absolutely gold. When he said, I didn't actually say that, and then he went on to say what he actually said. That was absolutely gold. If you look at Oscar De La Hoya's face when he does that, it absolutely drops. So, yeah, nice bit of needle. Obviously, bad blood there. He mentioned about money going missing as well, didn't he? You know, there's quite a lot in there. So, yeah, it's definitely. Although Munguia didn't really get involved in it, did he? To be fair to him, he kind of sat there. And Canelo is still respectful towards Munguia, and I agree with what you said about Oscar De La Hoya trying to take the limelight away from Munguia onto him, as in Oscar De La Hoya. But what I would say is his English is definitely coming along, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, without a doubt, mate. It's either very smart by De La Hoya or or it's just his ego? I think it might be a bit of both. He's taken the pressure off Munguia there, hasn't he? He loves the limelight, so it probably is a bit of that. And there's clearly bad blood there that's never going to settle. You know, every time they kind of rub shoulders, you get sparks. I don't think that's ever going to change. Håkan,
it's talking about defamation of character, isn't it? You're talking
about,
you know,
gets a bit naughty, don't it?
I'm not a legal eagle or any stretch, but my understanding is for it to be defamation, it must not be true. So, you know, let's hope for Oscar's sake, if he does go to court, that Canelo's not got some nice little bit of evidence tucked away somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially with
I'll come
to him as well.
Yeah, we'll come on to Triple G, Jams. Håkan, let me get your opinion first on how you think the fight goes.
I think that Canelo will win on a fairly close decision, but I hope Munguia knocks out Canelo.
Do you not like Canelo very much, Håkan?
I like Munguia more, but I don't have nothing against Canelo.
Jams, I'll come to you now, mate. The interesting thing for me here is this is Mexico v Mexico, and Canelo don't do that. He likes the whole of Mexico to be supporting him. So I don't know, I don't know how that's going to play out with the fans. He's obviously their big star, but there was a reason why he didn't want to fight Benavidez, and I don't think it was because he's scared of him. I think it's because he didn't want to share the Mexican public's views and support, and he's going to have to do that here. So go on, Jams, break it down for me.
For me, mate, I agree with what you're saying. He said he'd never fight a Mexican, but Benavidez is actually a Yank anyway. He's an American.
Well,
so he only claims to be
Mexican heritage, then, mate. Mexican heritage.
Yeah, he's Mexican heritage. Only claims it when it suits him. Trying to get a fight with Canelo. Canelo just doesn't want to give that guy a payday because they've got some sort of personal beef. So that's why that fight's not happening. But to this one, mate, I think Canelo's going to old man Munguia. I think he's going to bully him from the start to the finish and win it on a comfortable wide points decision.
Wow. Okay, I didn't quite see that one coming, Jams, actually. Harrison?
Yeah, you're right with the Mexican. I don't want to call it an issue, but he hasn't fought a Mexican since Julio Cesar Chavez, and that was a blowout.
Yeah.
And obviously in that period since, I think it's been prime Canelo. And some of the performances that he's put in against Golovkin the second and third time round, even Charlo last time out, he has been at his best for quite a while. But this, I think, is probably his biggest test in some time, to be honest, probably since the first Golovkin fight. Jaime Munguia is a massive danger on Saturday night. I've been a big fan of him for a long time. He's diverse. He's got incredible skill. He's very fast. I think his hand speed is underrated. It's a very tricky one to completely rule him out. But Canelo is one of the best that we've ever had the privilege of seeing. It's going to go 12 rounds. I'm pretty sure of that. I think Canelo will utilize his body work as he so often does, and that will eventually start to just take its toll on Munguia. Whether he's got the consistency to stay there for 12 rounds is going to be very interesting to see. I think Canelo takes it, but I would be looking at split decision, majority decision markets, because I do think this is going to be razor thin, but that also, and it's bad to say this, I do think obviously Canelo's going to have the judges on his side in Las Vegas as well.
And the fans as well, Dave.
And the fans, obviously, every time Canelo throws a punch, you will just hear them roar. And I'm not discrediting Munguia's fan base. That's massive. And I love all Mexican clashes on Cinco de Mayo. It's as good as it gets for boxing in the States. So it's going to be a good one. And I think Canelo just edges it.
Carl, are you seeing anything any different to the lads?
Yes. I've got on record as saying so as well. I was on a platform with Jams last night where I've said that I'm not going to use the word mismatch, but I think Canelo's going to walk through this guy. He's never been in with anyone of Canelo's level. So I'm not often like this, but Harrison, I'm complete opposite to you. I think Canelo's going to make light work of this guy. I think there's levels for a reason. I don't think he'll be able to keep Canelo off, is my honest opinion.
Right, well, I'm going to book the trend, guys. I actually think Munguia wins. He's really dangerous. He's improving all the time. He's grew into He's grew into his size now. I think his best performance was against Liam Smith up to date, but he has had some really good performances since. I just think Canelo might be past his peak. That's a big statement, I know, but I think he might be past his peak. If you look at the way Munguia dealt with John Ryder and the way Canelo fought John Ryder, it's night and day. And it's not that far apart between the two fights. To say that John Ryder was completely shot for the Munguia fight, but he wasn't shot for the Canelo fight, I think is a bit of a stretch. I think Canelo might be in a bit of trouble here. I think he might run out of ideas.
Yeah, I think the way this is going to be presented over in the States especially is a bit of a coming of age fight, sort of a master versus apprentice style presentation. Canelo's into his late 30s now. Munguia's 27, 28, something like that. So you could be right. The time scale here could be crucial. It's very reminiscent of Anthony Joshua when he fought Vladimir Klitschko. That was a case that he was just past. Time gets every single fighter at one stage. We've seen it in the past with Ali, Tyson. It's endless. So if it is going to come down to the stretch and maybe Canelo is starting to feel his pace, then maybe. But I just think that his strength and conditioning has been unquestionable for the last 10, 15 years. And that's what makes me think that he'll just have enough down the stretch.
I'll go on record saying Munguia is not good enough. He's not good enough to win this.
I agree. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's fought anybody of the level of Canelo. Not close.
The problem you've got there, Jams, is there's no one at the level of Canelo when Canelo's at his best. So to say that Munguia's not fought anyone, no one's fought anyone at Canelo's level. You know, Canelo's not even fought anyone at Canelo's level, apart from Triple G in that first fight. And that was how many years ago? Yeah, and how many years ago was that? Canelo was a kid when he fought Mayweather.
Yeah, 23. So 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Different times.
Different times. Absolutely different times, different weights. I just, I don't know. There's something niggling in the back of my mind that thinks that this might be the turning point of this division, because it needs to change. It's gone very stale because it's been obvious what's going to happen every time Canelo steps in the ring. But I actually think I'm with Harrison. I think this is his biggest test for a long while, and I've got a sneaky suspicion that Munguia takes a very, very, very close points decision.
I think this is a routine Canelo performance where he'll have a look at him for a round or two and then start dismantling him. And I actually think he gets him out of there round 9 or 10.
That'd be nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you think that Golden Boy pushed for this fight, lads? Because they want Munguia to be the new Canelo, the new cash cow Mexican who fights every Cinco de Mayo and makes them all the big bucks?
Yeah. Of course.
But it's like a passing of the torch almost.
I think Munguia's only chance to win is on a stoppage, not on points for me.
Munguia on points, not on Cinco.
Yeah, I can't. I can't see Munguia stopping Canelo. I mean, Munguia is a really tough puncher, devastating at times, but you know, Canelo's been in with some real big lads, and they've not managed to do it. So. I can't see a stoppage, but I think Cole. I think you're underestimating what Munguia brings to the table.
Not a lot. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see exactly.
On to wait now. Only 2 days away.
I can't wait.
I like this. I like this. It's a good start to the show, lads. That we're not agreeing. I think we might all agree on the next one though. Moving swiftly on, Cole. This is probably the least surprising failed drugs test in the history of boxing. If you look at the way Ryan Garcia was acting in the build-up to that fight, I'm surprised that he hasn't pinged for about 50 different failed samples, because the guy was off of his nuts in that build-up. He was overly aggressive, and obviously we now know he's tested positive for anabolic steroids. So
before the fight, I might add.
Yeah, before the fight, which is very surprising. Anyway, this is this puts the cat amongst the pigeons now, because I'll come to you first, Cole. First and foremost, are you as surprised as I'm not that this guy's failed a sample here?
I'll be honest with you, I'm just sick of it all in general. You know, we don't really know what we're watching at the minute, do we? When two fighters step into a ring. And for it to happen before the fight and then the fight goes ahead makes me question everything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but Carl, they didn't get the results though, mate, until...
Did they not? I've not read it in depth, Jams, if I'm honest. All I read was the headline that it happened before, so that makes sense. What
happened, mate, was they tested him the day before the fight, and they tested him the day after the fight, the night of the fight, but in the middle of the night, so the day after, and the results only came through at 2:30 this morning, British time.
That makes sense, doesn't it? That makes sense.
VADA put a statement out, that's how it got released.
So, that's Jams. That in itself is absolutely ridiculous. Why bother testing him before the fight then, if you're not going to get the results there and then?
It's madness, isn't it? It's madness. It's like they knew, and they just wanted to prove it afterwards. But they wanted to take the money.
But Garcia's going down this route now is because I've been pictured with Donald Trump and bringing all sorts of things into the boxing game, and I just think to myself,
after he made that diss track of Devin Haney and that as well, calling Haney a cheat about his dad talking to Harvey Dock and all that. What a joke, mate, when he knew he was cheating.
We've mentioned it before on the show, haven't we, regarding other sports having governing bodies, etc., etc. Something has got to change in the world of boxing.
Yeah.
Or it's going to absolutely self-destruct, because fight fans are going to get sick of watching fights, not knowing whether they're juiced up or not.
Yeah.
And the problem you've got, Carl...
Another drugs cheat, you know what I mean?
The problem you've got, Carl, is... This was billed as this master fight, this, you know, the biggest fight of the year, and it turned out to be a brilliant fight. But then you get this as the aftermath, and it deflates it, completely deflates it. And like you've just said, you know, you don't know what you're watching anymore. I mean, everyone's going on about, well, Haney's got no chin. Is it a case of Haney's got no chin, or is it a case of Garcia was loaded?
Andy, what it does do is stripping it right back to the bare basics is we keep moaning about crossover boxing, YouTube boxing, misfits boxing, but broadcasters are going to go towards that sort of content when your Joe public are going to stop watching mainstream boxing. They're going to stop watching it because it turns them off, just like it does us. I've got real concerns for the future of boxing. Like I put on Twitter earlier, something needs to be done now. There's enough money flowing around in this sport to resolve it. Don't give me the crap about jurisdictions, boxing commissions in America, British Boxing Board of Control in the UK. Come on, guys, just get a uniform drug policy in the sport of boxing.
Yeah,
I'm sure it can be done.
Harrison, when you've got a fighter like Ryan Garcia that stands on the scales, can't be bothered to even make weight, and he don't care that he's paying. He don't care that he's paying Devin Haney the best part of £1 million because he hasn't made weight.
1.5 million.
Whatever it was, mate. Whatever it was. But he's done that knowing he's took steroids. He's done that, and he's gone onto those stem scales knowing he's took steroids.
Yeah. We've had the traditional, he's come out and said that he's, in denial and he didn't do it, like we hear every single time with these drug issues. Half the time it's true, half it's not. We'll have to see how it plays out. He has carried himself as unserious in the last 24 hours as he did in the entirety of the build-up to the fight, and it's not surprising. He obviously is joking about things. He was on a live stream last night saying that he hasn't taken Austrian, he's never heard of it. It's because he was taking tequila before the fight. You can see where he's coming from, and it's not surprising, I suppose, to any of us. The big issue that we have, I think, is that the voluntary anti-doping agency, VADA, have reached their limitation. And like Carl just alluded to there about trying to find a world governing body, the issue with VADA, who are the most well-regarded anti-doping society in boxing, is we have this issue where 24 hours before the fight, he's tested positive for Austrian, but we haven't got the results back until now, which is just way too late. There has to be a system in place where you can get those drug results back in the space of 6 to 12 hours, and then obviously the fight needs to be completely just taken off the boards. It was like when Conor Benn tested positive in the Chris Eubank situation. within 24 hours, Sowell and Namashi both came out and that fight was off. It was that simple.
What you do, Harrison, in my opinion, because obviously for Peds to work, it has to be. It's not just take it once and then you're a Superman. It has to be used over months. So why not take it done 12 days before the fight? You get the results the day before the fight, then we know.
There needs to be, you're spot on, there needs to be time tested. It's random. That's all we know is that it's random. We're not given time scales like when it happens, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. It's just they turn up at your door and you do it.
Yeah,
they
need to have an appetite, Harrison. Is there an appetite? The crux is there an appetite from in the world of boxing to regulate this and get it under control?
Nobody wants to do it. WADA have offered before, but they've seen the simulation where it's just such a massive overriding power. To have one governing body in an entire sport, it's nigh on impossible. You think the only thing that WADA sanction is the Olympics, but that's about 57 different amateur sports. They would never. Football has FIFA and UEFA. They would never have one governing body. It can't happen. Boxing is too big. It's too global. The issue we need to look at is having a safe, structured doping agency where we can get results back within X hours, 24 hours before the fight, so we know in advance. It irritates me. I try to stay balanced with these things, but it's so frustrating that we've had to wait. What's it been, 2 weeks since that fight now? It just feels so late, and we're just kicking ourselves over it.
And come on. Don't tell me there's not labs now in America with the science ability to turn them tests around within 2 hours if you want to.
Yeah.
Instantly, Carl, if they wanted to do it.
I think it's an expense issue, to be honest. We know how expensive it is. Eddie Hearn went on the record a few years ago saying every fighter on his show, it costs him £20,000 in the UK.
Yeah, that's what it's about, lads. It's about the cost.
It's very expensive.
Oh, yeah, but hold on, though. I get what you're saying there, Harrison. This fight generated hundreds of millions.
Of course, yeah, no, I get that side of things, but for a promoter to do it so consistently on every show, not every Golden Boy show or every Matchroom show makes hundreds of millions of dollars. So eventually,
I get that.
Because you think that Next Gen show in Liverpool last week, that would have cost, what, 220 grand to do 12?
So what's the answer, Harrison? Do it on the amount of revenue that the fight card's generated?
No, because that's unfair. It has to be at the same level.
It's got to be a pragmatic take on this, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can't just sit here and say only do it for the pay-per-views. It has to be like the UFC where every show.
How does a small oil promoter find the margin within a show to pay for that, though, Harrison?
They don't have the money. The cost has to come down, which means more people have to invest into anti-doping societies because VADA is too expensive. Especially, I go to so many small hole shows around the country. Steve Goodwin, loads of other amazing small promoters. They can't afford to do it. No. They simply can't.
Turkey Al-Sheikh needs to get involved and put some money down for this kind of thing. If he wants to fight, he should contribute to making sure they're clean.
Spot on. He's got the money.
Exactly, mate.
Well, guys, it's very simple. It's very simple for me. Ryan Garcia and anyone else that fails a test of this magnitude, they need to be banned for life.
Yeah,
that's what I said this morning. Exactly the same. Should be banned for life. It's putting people's lives at risk, Andy, isn't it?
Punching people in the head. It's not tiddlywinks.
Exactly.
It's the most brutal sport in the world, Jams. Without getting advantages like that.
Yeah,
you know, there's certain things that are on the ban list that are not gonna make a fighter punch harder. They're not gonna make a fighter work harder. That are not gonna make his strength better. You know, there's certain things that aren't gonna directly kill another fighter. Well, anabolic steroids are.
But yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, he should be done. That should be it. He should never fight again. But that won't happen because in America, money talks. This guy will probably get away with a slap on the wrist.
Not only
at best a 6 month. At best a 6 month ban. That's what he'll get.
And that's when
he won't have been planning to fight in that time scale anyway. It's just like the Canelo situation.
Yeah,
that's it. Well, the drugs is apparently being done for, like Ostarine, is a muscle growth, so it literally that's why he looks so bulky, because he was taking that. The other one was nandrolone metabolites, which are basically to give you more energy and ferocity.
Yeah.
So he used the worst two drugs to fight another man. You know what I mean? For boxing.
Absolutely.
They are the worst two that you could possibly use. And he's blaming it on that CBD stuff that he smokes. That hashish something, whatever it's called. That's what he's blaming it on. He bought the bottle out on his IG earlier, and he bought a bottle out and said, "This is the only reason that I've failed these tests." He's full of it, mate. He's a bloody drugs cheat, and he should be banned for life, like Andy said.
Yeah, and for me, I don't understand why we don't get any suspension length announced like other sports does.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't know if a fighter is suspended for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years.
That's true, Hawk. And it's like, look at Paul Pogba in the football. The minute he got done for drugs, 4-year ban, automatically.
You know why that is, though, Jams? Because boxing's like the Wild West, isn't it? You could put a show on. You can go and get your promoter's license. You can't just walk into football like you could boxing, could you?
That's right, mate. Yeah, and that's the problem. There's so many ways around it. Look at Conor Benn. Like, you can just nip over to America and fight there and just skirt around the issue. You can go to Australia, you know, and then Britain can ban him, but he can fight elsewhere. And it's never going to work while this can happen. It should be a worldwide, flat-out ban. You get caught cheating with drugs, you're done. You don't fight again. That's it.
100% Jams. Carl, I think we've done that one to death, mate. Let's move on to topic number 3.
Interesting one.
We're flying through these topics tonight, lads. But I think this is good for a change. This, in my opinion, is very, very brave of Chantel Cameron, and I can't blame her one little bit for doing this after the way she was treated during the old debacle of the 2 Katie Taylor fights. She was treated by Matchroom as a second-class fighter, when, in my opinion, she was the main girl for that first fight, and she proved it. What I don't understand, I'll come to you, Harrison. What I don't understand is, she wins that first fight. They make the second fight. Surely, that should have been on her turf. But Matchroom, obviously. Sorry.
Yeah. So the first fight you're on about, yeah.
Yeah. So
can I get in here?
Yeah, of course, mate. Go on.
Go for it.
It was a 2-fight deal, and the second fight was to be in Ireland too, in the deal for the first fight.
No, that's not right, Harrison. Håkan, that's not right. If you listen to Chantel Cameron, that wasn't the case. That wasn't on the table. That deal wasn't made at the start of that first fight.
Well, the 100% would have been a rematch clause in there, wouldn't there? That's how Eddie always.
There would have been a rematch clause, Harrison, yeah, but the venue and the location for the second fight was not agreed.
Yeah,
that's why she was so mad. That's why she was so disappointed that her promoter wasn't treating her fairly, and he didn't treat her fairly. She won that first fight. She should have got to say where that second fight was going to be held. I think she wasn't even consulted.
Money. That's what that was.
Well, I think there's 2 sides to it. The issue is that obviously Chantel did win the first fight easily. There was no debate or anything about it that she'd won, defended the titles. It's fine. Carl's got it spot on there. The problem is
commercial value.
The commercial value that would have probably suited both of them. You imagine it would have been really close to a 50-50 split for that second fight, maybe even 60-40 for Chantel. So when she's been offered 7 figures to go and fight in Dublin, there's 2 sides to it. Like, a lot of people say that she was treated poorly by Matchroom, and you might feel like that in the aftermath. But then the problem is, if Chantel had won that second fight, nobody would have been saying that she was treated poorly, because she got a 7-figure payday out of it and she'd won the fight. Ultimately, she didn't. It was a fantastic duo, and I hope they get it on again at some stage, especially with this Matchroom Queensbury 5-5 at Wembley.
That's what they're for now, isn't there? Sandy Ryan on the 5v5, that'd be fantastic.
Sandy Ryan, yeah, or Katie Taylor if she's back in time. That's brilliant, but I don't know if she's been treated poorly by Matchroom. I think that's a little bit harsh.
I agree with it. We can go back to the Dylan White Otto Wallin fight was cancelled, and Matchroom did a Chantel was put Chantel to the main event for that show.
Yeah,
And then that match gave her the Jessica McCaskill fight in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So for me, I think for me, Matchroom has done very well for Chantal.
I think
Two
so.
fights with Katie Taylor, mate. She must have made a lifetime amount of money out of that.
The thing, right, guys, I agree with what you're saying in principle, right? When they were matching her against anybody else, they treated her very, very well. But as soon as it comes to matching her against their golden lady, but let's have it right, that's how it is. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be. For what Katie Taylor has done for boxing, she should be the golden girl. But when you've got another world champion that's proved herself, that's beaten her once, if you look at it from that point of view, Chantal Cameron should have been the A side of that fight, and I don't think she was. I don't think she was treated like she was the A side. She doesn't feel like she was, clearly, because she's moved. She's gone. She's left because of it.
Gone to
The fact that the third fight was taken off the table for her when she told she was going to get it. She must be sick. She must feel sick. You know, she wins the first fight comfortably. The second fight, she wanted down at Katie Taylor's for Katie Taylor's undisputed lightweight championships. That wouldn't happen because Katie Taylor wouldn't have it. They make it again for super light. And fair enough, right? Yeah, Katie Taylor performed so much better in the second fight. But there was lots of things in that fight that weren't right. There was lots of dirty tactics that the referee didn't stop. Now, that's not Katie Taylor's fault. She fought her fight and won the fight. Well done. You know, that was down to the referee for not doing his job right. The fact of the matter is, though, she was going to go nowhere near Chantal Cameron for a third fight, and she proved it. She's proved it because she's gone the opposite way. She'll never fight her again. I'm telling you right now, that fight will never ever happen.
I believe that, Andy, myself, mate. That third fight had to happen. You know, it's one apiece. It was set up.
It had to happen, mate.
Huge, but it's never going to happen now. Definitely not.
No, I don't.
So for me,
yeah.
For me, guys, it's very, very brave. Chantal Cameron's moved away from the biggest promoter in the UK. The promoter, like you guys have said quite rightly, got a world title fights, made her undisputed. She's taken a massive chance here to move away because she don't think she's been treated right. So I hope for her sake, because in my opinion, even though she lost that second fight, in my opinion, she's still the number one girl in the UK.
Well, the hard work's done now because Eddie's done such a fantastic job with her profile and her image that she can easily main event the O2 or wherever she wants to. It's up to Frank or Ben, whoever she goes to now, probably Frank, to make sure she gets the fights. And there's so many fights for her available at 140, 147. It is a shame we're never going to get to see that Katie Taylor trilogy, but I don't blame her for moving personally. If she feels like that was best for her career, then fair enough. She obviously felt like ties had been severed with Matchroom and there was no options for her to go on and fight for undisputed titles again. So the best of luck to her. I think she's an unbelievably good fighter. So I wish her nothing but the best.
Let's hope we get the Sandy Ryan fight at Pride Park. That'd be an absolute war, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Or on the Wembley card. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, even that.
Yeah, and with Queensberry and Matchroom working together, so we can see that fight, I believe.
I hope so, Volkan. I hope so.
Carl, what's your take on this whole situation?
Yeah, I think Matchroom did a good job. I think to say, I'm not sure they've left on as bad a terms as you might be portraying. I think Matchroom did a good job. They've made it very welfare. If we look down the commercial perspective,
yeah.
The second fight had to go to Ireland because, you know, I'm sure if you offer Chantal Cameron 25% of a purse.
Why did it? Hold on. Why did it?
Because Chantal Cameron's got no commercial worth anywhere near Katie Taylor.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Right. So all of Katie Taylor's fights, apart from the last two, have been in the UK. Have been in England. Apart from New York, they've all been in England, and she's sold out. Right. So why did that fight? If that second fight had been at Croke Park, I'd have gone fair enough. But it wasn't. It was in the same arena as the first fight. That fight could have taken place at any arena in the UK, probably any football stadium in the UK.
Can I get in here? The
Sure.
price point in Dublin wouldn't have sell more than 5k in the UK, with a lower tire for 500 euros and ringside for 1,000 euros. That's more than Joshua fight before his Saudi fight against Mustafa Ali.
That's expensive.
What's the size of that arena, Hakan? Do you know?
It's 10
9k.
Oh, well, 9,000.
Right. 9,000. So you could have doubled that at the O2, or the Manchester Arena.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying about the tickets, but you double that by putting twice the amount of seats in. You can charge off the price and still get the same amount of revenue. I don't really see what you're saying there. It's my opinion, but it's very unfair what happened to her.
The truth is that Katie Taylor's got a bigger profile than Chantal Cameron, and she was the A side.
Of course she has. Of course she has. Of course she has, Carl. But just because she's got a bigger profile, don't mean that she should get the lion's share or she should get all the advantages when she lost the first fight.
But they're going to take away whoever can generate the most money.
That's the problem, lads, isn't it? Like, I agree with both of you. Andy's right and Carl's spot on. But Katie Taylor's always going to be the A side, win, lose or draw, because she's Katie Taylor. She's earned that right from amateur days all the way through. She's always going to be the big draw.
I can't blame her for taking the Serrano fight when the amount of donuts on the table that she's been offered to take.
Yeah, that's a cracking fight in itself, isn't it? Against Serrano.
Of course it is. It's a brilliant fight.
It's a
brilliant fight.
A lot of money.
They will have obviously.
Yeah, it's a brilliant fight.
They would have looked at the O2 in the MEN, I'm sure, and they would have obviously assessed that against Dublin. Dublin obviously was where the money was. It's just, would it have sold out the O2? Probably, but it would have needed a bloody good card. The reason it did so well in Dublin was because there were so many Irish fighters on the undercard as well.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced it would have needed a big undercard. Oh, yeah, Katie Taylor, you just said it, is the biggest female star in the world.
But would you get 20?
She sells out arenas by herself. Yeah, of course. Against Chantal Cameron, of course.
Not for me.
I was at the both fights, and the second fight was 500 tickets left the day before the fight, and then all tickets was gone because Matchroom wanted to have a sellout. I believe that they gave away hundreds of the last tickets.
Well, let's put it this way then. If Katie Taylor can't sell out Dublin, she definitely ain't selling out the O2.
I'm not buying that, lads.
We'll never know now, will we? Against Cameron, we'll never know, I don't believe. Unfortunately.
It only ever happened in Ireland, that third fight.
Yeah. It's even Croke Park.
Well, if they get Croke Park, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It won't happen. I'm reliably informed it won't happen. So, next topic.
Yeah, move on, mate. So, a couple of weekends ago, Hughie Fury made his return after 3 years out of the ring. I think the best way to call it would be a tune-up, Carl. I think he's, I'm not
sure why you're coming to me on this one, Andy. Bear in mind where we're going in a few weeks.
I think it's a fair comment. His opponent was a durable opponent, but he wasn't going to cause him that many troubles.
I'll play nice.
It was a case of blowing cobwebs off, though, right?
Yeah, you can tell he's been out of the ring for 3 years, couldn't you? Was it 3 years? 2 years?
Yeah.
2.5?
Yeah. 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah, you could tell.
He's been really poorly, hasn't he? He's been really poorly.
He's going to need to get better as he goes up the levels, obviously.
So my question really, and the reason I brought this topic up, is he spent 3 years out of the ring. I still don't believe we've seen the best of Hughie Fury. He was thrown in at a very young age in some really big fights. Yeah. In my opinion, he beat Joe Parker. He should have been world champion. He was very, very unlucky not to get the nod in that fight. So, Carl, I'm still going to come to you. So you're not getting away with it that easily, mate.
I don't sit on the fence like you anyway, so hit me with it.
So I don't know what the timescale of this would be, but how far can Hughie Fury get after being out of the ring for 3 years? How far up this current heavyweight ladder that's obviously making massive strides with the Saudi fights? How far up the echelons does he actually get?
Time will tell to some degree. We don't know what version of Hughie Fury getting, do we? Although, the Joe Parker narrow defeat is looking better and better over the course of time, right?
Yeah.
So, I would suggest he probably belongs at the higher echelons. I'd like to see him eventually in with someone like Dillian White, somebody like that, where, a bit of a gatekeeper Dillian is nowadays, I would say. So, yeah, I think health permit him, because we all know he's had challenges with long COVID, I believe it is. So, as that taken a little bit away from you. But no, I think he's got the skills. Peter Fury don't mess around, does he? He's going to be very active like he already is. So, yeah, I think he's got his eye on the Saudi money, haven't they all? So, I think he belongs in the mix with like a Wilder, Parker, in and amongst that territory, to be honest.
Jams, Peter Fury's a straight shooter, probably the most, the straightest shooter in the game. Says it how it is. There's never any bull there. He wouldn't be putting Hughie Fury back in the ring after 3 years out if he didn't think he was healthy, right?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, Peter Fury knows his stuff. I like Hughie Fury. It was a shame that he got poorly and had to not box for 3 years. It's good to see him back. I'd like to see him in with someone like Jared Big Baby Anderson. I think that would be a good matchup. And I think Hughie could probably get the win there after his last couple of performances because they were pretty poor. So,
Anderson's a right job.
Yeah, that's what I mean, mate. Yeah, and I think Hughie could do him. I think Hughie could beat him. Like, maybe give Hughie a couple more warm-up fights, get back in the swing of things, and then get him in with Big Baby Anderson around, like, December time. I think he takes it.
Yeah, but Hughie Fury's not a taxi driver, so that ain't happening, is it?
Well, apparently, Jared Anderson is fighting Deontay Wilder on the Adramov Bud undercard.
I've read that. He'll get smashed.
Yeah, that's only if Wilder beats Zhilei Zhang on June 1st.
Cole, don't sit on the fence about Anderson, will you, mate?
It's an hype job. I don't care what anyone said. Hype job.
Shocking, mate. I done his last watch on. It was the most boring fight I've watched in years.
I'd have been asleep.
I almost was, mate. Almost was, and I was live.
The next big out from North America, have a day off.
Never. He's garbage. He's garbage. Really is one of the most boring pedestrian fighters I've ever seen.
Harrison, please give us a little bit of a balanced opinion here, mate.
Well, on Jared Anderson, well, I think we have this discussion every week. I just think it's too early to make your mind up on him. He may
I do as well.
At this minute in time, the only name on his record is Charles Martin, who, other than walking the earth like a god for 3 months, hasn't done anything with his career. Difficult to really know. Right,
let's get back onto Hughie Fury then, mate. So give us your feeling of where you think Hughie might go.
I'm a big fan of Hughie Fury as a character, and I love this activity. The 2 fights in the space of 5-6 weeks. Good of him to get out in Rotherham a few weeks ago, and best of luck to him in Cardiff. He's only got 3 defeats on his record, which it's kind of stood the test of time. Someone said there about Parker. That win's looking better and better. That loss is looking better and better every day. Yeah. The other 2 losses are to Pulev and Povetkin, who were 2 of the sort of stalwarts in heavyweight in the last decade. So they're not bad losses, and he's never looked bad in those. But the problem is, and it might be a bit controversial, I just think he's a bit boring. I just think his style is just a bit negative. Like with these heavyweights, you're not expecting him to knock everybody out, but he's just a bit flat on his feet sometimes. And I'd like to see a bit more from him. And if he wants to get this move out to Saudi Arabia, Turk Al-Sheikh's not going to take somebody like him unless he goes out and starts banging people left, right, and centre. He's not going to invest in a heavyweight who's not entertaining to watch. That's not his style. That's not what he wants to bring out to Saudi Arabia. So this fight now on Sky next week, he's really got to just take this bloke out and really, start to accelerate his career now. Activity is crucial for him. I can't stress it enough. He's been out for too long. If he gets another 2 fights in the space of the next 6 months, that's huge for him. He's got a lot of potential, and I wish him all the best. I do.
Is this on the Lauren Price? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a slightly different view than you on that, Harrison. So I think Yui started his career and he was a back foot fighter. If he'd have been a bit more aggressive in the Parker fight rather than fighting on the back foot, he would have got the nod in the fight. By the by, that's history. I think before he got poorly, the last few fights before he got poorly, I think he was very aggressive. I think we saw a new style, and I expect that to be his style going forward. He was in with a very, very, very durable fighter on the GBM show who got hit with everything but the kitchen sink. There was no. If he'd have been hit with a baseball bat, he wouldn't have gone down. That's how tough the guy is. So you can't really say much about that performance and the fact that he took him 6 rounds when he'd been out 3 years. It was a case of blowing cobwebs off, and I think you're going to see a very, very quick improvement in the level of fighters that Yui Fury fights in the next few fights. And I also think. Yeah, absolutely. And I also think he's the sort of fighter that brings his level up when he fights a higher level fighter as well. I think you'll see performances out of Yui going forward.
Yeah, the way the domestic landscape is at the minute is fantastic for him because you could easily put him in with someone like a Joe Joyce or a Derek Chisora, and then eventually you start building levels up there to Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark, and then Dubois. There's great stages, there's great domestic fights to make, especially if it doesn't have but we do need to see him start stepping up the levels now.
I'd like to see him get him in there with Moses Atoma.
No chance.
Watch him get cleaned up.
I know Patrick Corte a bit, who's facing Yui Fury from Germany.
Yeah.
I even have him on Facebook for a couple of years. I think this could be a good fight for Yui Fury. Another step-up fight.
Just to shake off them cobwebs.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, but I want to see Yui Fury impress more than the comeback fight at the GBM.
Yeah.
Okay, Cole. I think we've done that one. Do you want to move on?
Yeah, last topic of the night then, boys. And I think Jam's better set the lead on this because I think you're the one in the know, fella.
Okay, mate. Triple G is suing Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya for $3 million over unpaid fees from the fight against Canelo in 2018. And he's taking it court and he's really going after Golden Boy. And he wants a big chunk of change. He wants $3 million, but he's also claiming damages as well. I'm not sure about the amount.
Wow.
But he wants the $3 million that he claims to be owed from the first Canelo fight in 2018. So it's madness, mate. So Golden Boy's in a bit of trouble, mate, at the minute. Especially with him aligning himself with Garcia as well. And now what's come out about him, he could get it for that and all. Because he's been talking some rubbish about that, hasn't he? So he's getting himself in a lot of trouble with that gob of his.
Well, I'm not sure how to react to this. I think this is absolutely crazy from Golden Boy if this has been allowed to happen. I mean, this is not just a run-of-the-mill fighter that's not been been handed a couple of £100 for fighting on a small old show. This is the biggest fighter in the middleweight division in recent memory, not getting paid for fighting the biggest star in the world. It's absolutely crazy. How unprofessional is this? If this is the case, how unprofessional is this of Golden Boy?
There's a lot of rumours, Andy. There's loads of rumours about Oscar De La Hoya stiffing other fighters. There's so many. I won't name them all because obviously it's not confirmed. But there's so many fighters that I speak to on X that tell me that they've been stiff for $1 million or $1 million there on their fights under Golden Boy. Apparently he does it all the time. He's a bit of a snake. Doesn't like parting with his dough because he's putting it up all up his hooter, isn't he?
Allegedly, Jams. Allegedly.
Apparently and allegedly, yeah, of course. Him and Ryan at the mate, popping up them lines and that.
Well, they're okay though, Golden Boy, because they've got O'Hara Davis, so everything's well in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll save the day, won't he? He'll get him his $3 million back.
Easy.
Next time he gets knocked out by a 40-year-old in 1 minute.
Harrison, what's your initial reaction to this story?
Well, I think Oscar De La Hoya's had a very busy 24 hours, to say the least. It's tricky because I don't know a lot about it, and I've not seen a lot of national reports on it, so I'm just kind of waiting for the story to develop. I don't like the timing. The time scale's a bit puzzling. Why is this taking 5 or 6 years to come to fruition? And obviously, Golovkin's gone off into the sunset now, and more life to him. It just feels a bit. Why did he not mention this?
You won't be picking that legal tab up, would you, Harrison?
No, but just I don't understand why Golovkin and his promotion team at the time didn't go after this from the offset. I don't know why this has taken 5-6 years, but anyways, it's one of those stories. It's going to be fascinating to see how it develops. Like Jams has said, there is a lot of people in the last 24 hours who have come out and said that De La Hoya's been a bit stingy and a bit, Barry McGuigan-esque with his money. So
allegedly,
apologize. Don't sue me. I'm going to kind of sit on the fence for this one and see how it plays out, but it doesn't look very good for Golden Boy.
I'll tell you what, though, Oscar's got some trouble if Canelo and Triple G come at him at the same time, isn't he? Because Canelo wanted to bang him yesterday. Now Triple G's after his dough. He's in a lot of trouble if them two turn up on his doorstep.
I would have loved to have seen Canelo just swing from yesterday, just to see.
It's been the best thing ever. He'd probably duck and dive it, though. You know what he's like. He's a slippery.
I'll tell you what, I've been reading Carl Frampton's book lately, and Andy's a bit of a Barry McGuigan fanboy. I suggest you get hold of that book and have a look at some of his practices, allegedly, although it is in print. So
I am a massive Barry McGuigan fan, mate, because he united a broken island. That's why I'm a big fan.
Read that book.
The guy's an absolute legend. I don't care what he's done or what he's allegedly done as a promoter. There's two sides to every story. If you listen to an interview that's been done by Barry McGuigan about that whole Carl Frampton situation, you hear a different story, mate. So there's always two sides to a story. Don't always just believe one.
Well, let's see if Barry McGuigan releases a book, because obviously
I'm sure he will at some point.
That's gone through Frampton's legal team, I'd imagine, and he's been vetted. So
that book's into the top 10 as well. Top 10 sports books of all time. Carl Frampton's new book. He got an award for it a couple of nights back.
Yeah, give it a read.
Carl Frampton, the Jackal.
It's a very, very interesting read.
I'm sure it is.
Get to the expenses bit.
And it could be all true, or it could be all false. You're never going to know. It's two opinions.
I would suggest it's not false, or McGuigan would have took him to court quicker than Billio, and also his legal team would not have allowed that book to be released.
Yeah, because it gets sued, Els. 100%. It's a shame, though, because Frampton and McGuigan were so close, weren't they? They were literally like father and son. Such a shame to see these relationships go that way.
I went to almost every Frampton fight for the entirety of his career. I was privileged enough to go.
Cracking fighter, wasn't he?
Harrison. Very good pundit as well. Quite like him as a pundit.
I think he's the best pundit that there is in Britain. This is so off topic, but it was just so interesting to see everything that came out this week with the McGuigan stories, and the book is fantastic. To give it a read, I've just finished it. The only thing that I'm definitely against McGuigan saying was that McGuigan claims that Frampton wouldn't have been a world champion if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I don't agree with that. And Frank Warren didn't agree with that either, did he?
Yeah. Frank said it could have been him, Reddy. It didn't matter. That was a silly one.
Yeah,
I'll agree with you there, guys. That's a poor statement, because Frampton was absolute quality.
When he beat Leo Santa Cruz.
And I think, don't get me wrong, the relationship that he had with the McGuigans and the bond that he had with the McGuigans obviously helped him during his career. But to say that he wouldn't have become a world champion without him, that's obviously not correct. He'd have gone on to be a world champion with a lot of trainers, more than likely.
Yeah, I agree, Andy, 100%.
Well, that was the last topic, Andy. Last topic of the night. Anyone want to raise anything else before we close the show off?
Neo Inoue's fighting on Monday.
Yeah, against Lewis Neri.
That's worth a chit chat, surely.
Yeah, I've got a team meeting about that time, Harrison. Funny enough, I can't think what that is.
Goodness me, that's a shame.
No, the chances.
Harrison, where do you put in Inoue in the pound for pound ratings?
He's my number one.
Number one.
Same. Joint number 1 with Bud Crawford, but I just put Inoue just slightly above. But
Yeah,
I have both joint
I
number
can't
1.
argue with that. Yeah, I
Once
can't argue with that.
Once he put Daenerys away last year, that was it for me. I just went, nah, I may never see a better super bantamweight in my lifetime. He is just special.
Are you with the narrative that he needs to come to America, like the people are throwing that about?
No, it's very Western media that to say that, because if you watch his fights, I remember
Very
watching,
arrogant, right? Very arrogant.
I think so, because we do it in Britain all the time as well. I remember watching on Boxing Day when he fought, and he always fights in the Saitama Arena over in Japan. It's packed out like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
He is as big a star in Japan as McGregor is in Ireland or Mayweather is in America. He is just a monster athlete, and I don't think he has to go over to the States to fight. If he does, then great. But I'm more than happy to give up my Monday and Tuesday afternoons to watch him fight at midday.
100%, mate. He's fighting at the Tokyo Dome, isn't he? And it's already sold out.
Yeah, this time it's at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, Tokyo
The
Dome.
same arena or stadium as the famous Buster Douglas Mike Tyson fight.
That's the one, Hawkan. Yeah, 55,000 complete sellout already. It's sold out within hours.
Yeah.
Why would he go to the US to fight in front of 9,000, 10,000 people?
Yeah, it's not going to do it, is it?
With
When
no
you're
atmosphere.
5,000 at home.
Absolutely no atmosphere. American fighting eyes. Let's have it right.
Exactly.
No atmosphere.
Yeah. So
The Mr. Steve Caroline, I've always said that.
go over there and go to him because he's the man. He calls the shot now. If an American wants to fight him, if you want to see them fight, they're going to have to go over there to Inoue. He's the man in charge.
That was the only way Louis Neri was going to get this shot, was if he went over to Japan to fight him. That fight was never going to happen in America. And Neri's a very good fighter, but that was only ever going to happen in Japan.
Let's be honest, it's financially backed. It's really well financially backed by his promoter, isn't he, in Japan? Let's have it right, you know.
Yes.
When he comes to first bids.
And he fought in the US during the pandemic. That was, for me, the only reason for the pandemic was more restrictions in Japan than in the US.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to fight at all in Japan at the time, were they? For 2 years nearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, just one more question on Inoue from me. I'll come to you, Jams. How many more weight divisions do you think this guy can go up and win world titles at?
To be honest, he could do what he likes, you know what I mean? But I don't see why he'd go up too high because you've always got a puncher's chance of being beat there.
Yeah.
If I was him, I'd stick around where he's at and just beat everybody and just keep racking up them titles because he is the man. He is the main.
And the money, right?
Yeah, exactly. The money, the most important thing, yeah. But, can you guys name that you think would beat Inoue?
No chance.
I can't think of a single fighter, not even Bud Crawford if he moved up. If Inoue moved up, not anyone, I don't think could beat him.
I think he wouldn't get challenged until he got to about 35, and someone like Shakur Stevenson maybe. But even still, I'd probably back.
Shakur would give him a good run for his money, but I still think he'd win. I'd still
back in way.
I'm not sure against Shakur. That's a big call.
If he carries his power,
size starts to play, like Jams has just said. Size starts playing a part, then, don't it? Yeah. It evens the playing field quite a lot.
That was a really good question about the weights. How many more can he do? Because Crawford's going to have a ceiling as well, but people are saying he could go all the way up to 68 and give Canelo a go.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying if he beats him off at 140, he's going to go up to 147, and then he's going to go up to 154, then 168.
Yeah. Crawford can't do 168. Crawford can't do 168, not for me.
That's what they're saying, Cole. That's what his own manager and promoter said. That
I think
168 to fight Canelo.
Yeah, a bit like Canelo going to 175. It's just that bit too far.
Yeah, and Bivol just toyed with him, didn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Carl, I think that's it, mate. Do you want to take the show out?
Yep. So thank you, Hawkan. Much appreciated for joining the show. Thank you, Harrison. Thank you, Jams. Great contribution from you as normal.
Pleasure, brother.
Thank you for all the comments in the sidebar. Much appreciated. Andy, enjoy the sheep, and we will see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Take care, everybody.
God bless, guys.
I like the way he's not denying it either.